Hello and welcome to the Wellness Connection. I'm your host, Fiona Kane. This is a podcast where I like to have real conversations about things that matter. And today I want to talk to you about morning routines, morning rituals. And this is a conversation I was having. I have a house guest here today. I won't name the person. But anyway, I had a house guest staying and I said, I need to record some podcasts today. Have you got some ideas for some topics? And this person brought up morning rituals and what a difference that has made in their life. And I see this a lot for people that when you have a really good morning ritual, it really helps with your mental health and your physical health. And when you think about it, this happens for a few reasons. So, a morning ritual, morning routine, first of all, there's something very intentional about it. So, instead of, oh, well, I'll do what I remember, if I remember, when it happens, whatever. So, instead of this vague kind of thing where you forget things and you don't prioritize things and you kind of suddenly run out of time, that kind of thing, you're very intentional. You're very intentional about, well, what are the things that I need to do today that are going to be beneficial for me. And because you're very intentional, you tend to do those things, or you at least do some of those things, or you at least do one thing that's really intentionally important and valid and that's going to contribute to your well-being in some way. And not only that, but I have talked about this before, but when we when we do things, so when we feel like we've achieved something, you're able to tick something from your list, you feel good about yourself. And you see this, an example I'll give is, the old saying that when you want to get something done, you give it to someone who's really busy, because someone who's really busy is already has momentum. They're already moving. They're already doing something, right? So that person will just slot it into their list of things to do, and they'll probably get it done. Whereas I don't know if you've ever, when you've been on holidays or in holiday mode, or a situation maybe where you're recovering from an illness or something, but when you don't have anything to do, right? When you don't have anything to do, and there's one thing you've got to get done that day, it could be the simplest of things. I've just got to send one email, or I've got to, I don't know, just one small thing. Have you noticed that you can't figure out where to fit it in the day? And you end up not even getting around to doing it. Like, oh no, I didn't get time to do the thing, right? And you had plenty of time. You had the whole day, but there's something about you get momentum from when starting. So when you start, when you do something intentional, and when you do something intentional that makes you feel good about yourself. So it's that thing I've talked about before as well, of when you know you have your back, right? So you trust someone who shows up for you. It's the same for you yourself. So, if with other people in your life, you trust the person who shows up for you, the person who shows up for you, the person who's there for you, they're the one that you build trust with. Well, it's the same for us with ourselves. So if we never show up for ourselves, we actually don't have trust for ourselves, and we don't expect to be showing up for ourselves. We don't expect ourselves to back ourselves. So you develop like a distrust for yourself. I'm never going to achieve that thing because I don't show up for me, right? So when you do show up for yourself, that actually makes you feel really good about yourself and much more confident, because now you're proving that you are a person who shows up for you. And so one, you've got that kind of feeling good about, I've showed up for myself. I do show up for myself. I'm that person. I'm the person who shows up for myself, not the person who doesn't show up and look after myself. But then next thing, what I said is, you get momentum from that, right? So momentum starts to happen when you actually just get started and you do something. So, and that's without even talking about the specific things in the ritual that you might be doing and the benefits they will have for you. So, morning rituals might include a number of things. They might be sitting and having a cup of tea for 15, 20 minutes before the family wakes up, and just having some quiet time to be in your own space, in your own head. It might be a time where you write a gratitude diary, you have some sort of gratitude practice. You might be doing a meditation or some sort of prayer or ritual, something along those lines. You might be doing exercise. So, sort of one of the popular morning rituals is anything that involves sweating and moving your body, which is a really good way to start the day. So you might be sitting down, like I said, maybe just thinking about what your day is going to look like, thinking about what's ahead. You might be making a list, or just like in your head, kind of just clearing things up and getting clear about what you want to do for that day. Maybe you're doing some yoga or some stretches or something, take the dog for a walk, pat the dog with a cup of tea, whatever it looks like. But morning rituals are really, really beneficial for our health. And when you think about what some of those things are, you get, something where you get clarity about the day, something where you have some space in your mind that is just for you and not about all of the noise from outside. And then when we talk about things like the ritual of making yourself a healthy breakfast, or doing exercise, those sorts of things, obviously all of those things will matter. You get protein to start the day. You'll have plenty of you'll have consistent energy, and manage your blood sugar level well, and you'll go really well. If when you're exercising, again, you use energy when you exercise, but you get energy from exercise as well. And again, you feel good about yourself, all that circulation, all those health benefits that we get from doing exercise. So all of those, the actual things you're doing themselves are beneficial, besides the fact that you feel good about the fact that you have done them. But also you've done something, you've gotten started, you've already, you've already done, if you've already done 3, 4, 5 things before you even sort of start work or start heading to work, or whatever your day looks like, there is, like I said, you've already got a real momentum there, and you're feeling good, and you're feeling good about yourself, and that makes all of the difference. So there is something about being really intentional with the way we structure our mornings that's really important. The other aspect to this as well is, I suppose, on the other side of things with the morning rituals, is some morning rituals that people have, and I know that I can easily fall into this, so I'm not saying this to have a go at anyone, but a very common morning ritual is the first thing you do is pick up your phone and you're checking social media, or you're looking at the news or something. But what you're doing straight away when you're doing that, and we've all been guilty of it, again, no judgment, but what you're doing is straight away you're picking up this thing and you're letting that decide how your morning's going to start. So that is going to control how things start, because straight away you've got something you've got to reply to, or you see the news and often it's quite depressing, right? Or you're on social media doing some doom scrolling, looking at someone who, someone who makes you feel bad about yourself, or someone, whatever it is. But what we do is, when we jump on our phones straight away, we're letting that control how our day begins. And whatever happens to be on our phone at the time will decide how our day starts. And it could be, a message from someone, and it's, oh yeah, I've got to do this thing. And so you start the day already feeling like, feeling bad that you haven't done something yet, or that someone's after you, or someone's needs something, or there's an email I've got to reply to. Oh, that's right, I have got. Yeah, so you kind of start the day straight away with, it dictates how your day begins. It dictates whether or not you start your day in a positive mood or a negative mood, or straight away feeling like stressed and feeling under the pump, right? So there's also morning rituals that are not beneficial. So morning rituals where you'll just jump straight on your phone, or where you jump straight in front of the television. I would say to most people, it's not a good idea to do that. If you're the sort of person who likes watching 15 minutes of a morning show with a bit of news, and you do that with your breakfast every morning, that's your ritual, and it works quite well for you, and you feel good about it, great. But if you're the sort of person that lands in front of the television, has trouble moving away from it, or then says, oh, I don't know where the day went, I didn't get time to do anything, not a good idea. Don't go there. Just don't even start there if that's what it's like for you, right? And it could also be playing a really good podcast that you like as well. That might be part of how you start your morning, or reading a little bit of a book. Now, I'm not saying that everyone has to do all of these things, and of course there's a lot of influencers and podcasters and people in the health space out there who do all sorts of things, where they're doing, they do the cold plunge in the morning, or they're doing the cold plunge and then the sauna, and then they do the workout and this and that and the cold plunge, and look, fabulous, and that's great. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's some people who do those kinds of things who get amazing results from them. So that's fabulous. But what I would say to you though is, don't get turned off by the fact that like if that's just not within your wheelhouse, that just doesn't is not possible for you. There's just, we've all got different situations and different jobs and different responsibilities. Maybe you don't have that much time and that much availability to do those kinds of things. But so that what it comes down to is, though, well, what does a good morning ritual look like for you? And it might be different at different times. So there might be the ritual you do on the day that your kids go to school, the ritual you do on the day that they're at home, the ritual you do on this day, that work day, non-work day, whatever it is. So you might have slightly different rituals for different days, but you just have something that's for you. So it might even just be 5 minutes to have a cup of tea. I would say probably be better if it's more than 5 minutes, but if you're able to wake up before your children do, I know a lot of mothers give me feedback that, it's actually worth them setting their alarm a little bit earlier and just sneaking out and just quietly sitting and having their cuppa before the kids and everyone else is sort of on them for something. And that just gives them that little bit of sanity. So you may be doing, the workout and the green smoothie and the cold plunge and the sauna and all the one yoga and all the wonderful things, and good on you. And if you're able to do that, and your life and your finances and your time allows for that, that's brilliant. If you're not able to do all of those things, but you are able just to sit and be mindful, you are able to, write a gratitude journal, you are able to maybe just do a 5 minute meditation, whatever it is. So, don't get overwhelmed by the fact that it has to look a certain way or be perfect, or it has to be the same as the one that you heard your favorite influencer do on Instagram or whatever. It has to be the one that works for you, the one that's possible for you, the one that you can do. But what I do encourage, though, is that you do have morning rituals, because when you do have them, they really set you off to a good start every day. And there is something as well when your morning ritual includes any level of either meditation or gratitude or kind of just that presence, but being present and being aware that the health benefits, the mental health benefits from that, uh, I can't tell you enough what they are, because again, if you kind of just jump into your day and you kind of just end up in your day and you're kind of just there and you haven't even got your head straight, what happens again is the day dictates how you feel. The day dictates it all, because straight away you're just running here or there and everywhere, kind of just like answering everybody and catching up and trying to chase your tail kind of thing. When you have a moment to do something that's sort of really good for your headspace, that really can change the way you start your day. So if you start your day and you are able to, maybe you're somewhere where you can look outside and you can see flowers or trees. Maybe you can pat your dog or your cat or whatever. Maybe you can, even just go into your child's bedroom and look at your child, while they're still asleep, while they're still an angel, and kind of just have an appreciation for how lucky you are to be their parent, right? It could be just having gratitude that you can see, that you can hear, that you're able to eat, you're able to walk, you're able to function, you're alive, right? So whatever it looks like, but all that able to have a hot shower and you've got hot water, aren't you lucky? So just anything where you're able to be present, you're able to be present with your surroundings. So not kind of caught up in what happened in the past or what's happening, but just be really present with now. Have a level of gratitude and awareness about the good things that you have available to you, or the resources you have available to you. When we kind of have those levels of awareness, that really can kind of, you start your day in a way where you're already feeling gratitude and you're already feeling lucky. Like, I am so lucky that, I can walk and talk and I can move or I said move, but whatever, walk, move. I'm able to eat. Like, it's not until if you've been in a situation where you can't eat, you know how valuable it is to be able to eat, and I was able to sleep. I had a bed last night and I was warm last night. All of those things. If you have got all of those things going for you already, well, you're doing better than a whole lot of other people, right? So if we can start the day in that space where we can really see all the things we've got going for us, all the things that are going well, all the things that we're lucky about, and all the things that are beautiful. So like I said, the dog the birds outside, the trees, whatever it is. But just noticing the things that are true and beautiful, and that are sort of any type of sort of blessing in your life. When we are able to integrate a practice where we notice those things, then whatever happens throughout the day, I think you can cope better because you didn't go launch right into it. You actually were able to just have that moment of, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. I've got resources. I've got what I need. I'm okay. I'll be all right. And even in regards to some of those morning rituals that, like say, I think Joe Rogan, I like Joe Rogan, so no problem there. But he does, I think he does like the cold plunge every morning in the workout and etc. And what he says, which I find is quite interesting, is he says that, and this is actually I think particularly important for people who are really really comfortable. So he's really really quite wealthy, and a lot of people who've got to a place where they're really quite wealthy and powerful. He says that it actually you do the hardest thing in the day first. So and it's forcing him to do something hard because when you're not sort of in the street trying to like living on the street, or when you're not sort of busting it trying to make a living and all those things, and you finally got to a place where you're really comfortable and you're kind of on top of your game, it would be very easy to kind of relax into that and just kind of indulge. And instead of doing that, he says, no, I do something hard every day because it proves that I can still do something hard, but also everything after that is easy because I've done the hard thing. So he actually, part of his morning ritual is doing something that's hard so that after that, everything seems easy. So see sort of the mindset behind that. So there's different ways we can do a morning ritual that might work differently for different people. We need different things. So what he does that works for him may not be what works for a young mom or a postmenopausal woman or whoever, right? There's different reasons why different rituals work for us, but the idea is to really have intentionality behind it and kind of understand what you're doing and what you're doing it for, and understand that you don't necessarily need hours, right? Because most people don't have hours for all their rituals in the morning. You might have minutes, you might have an hour, you might have 20 minutes, you might have 6 minutes. I don't know what it is, but so work out what it is that's most beneficial for you and do that in that time. And it might be doing one thing, might be doing two different things, but don't sort of not do it because you don't have time, because most people can create 5 minutes. Most people can find 5 minutes somewhere. They stop doing something else. If you weren't doing the doom scrolling on your phone, how much time do you spend doom scrolling? If you can have time to doom scroll, well, then you can have time to do, a 2-minute meditation, right? So that's the other thing too. It's like everyone's only got the same amount of hours in the day. So it's like, what do you do with yours? And it might be very minimal, absolutely, but there's still a lot you can do in a small amount of time. So, and when you do, I know I always enjoyed reading a lot of biographies and autobiographies. And, as someone who's been in business for a long time, I've read a lot of business books. And when you read business books and autobiographies or anything where people have become successful in whatever they do, more often than not, these people have a lot of very specific rituals, and they usually have morning rituals. And this is the exact reason why. So you do the thing that you need to do to keep you functional, to keep you well, to give you energy throughout the day. You do the thing that starts you with momentum. You do the thing that starts you in that right headspace, so you're going into the day really intentionally, and you don't let something like a phone or your emails or your social media dictate how you feel to start the day. You're starting the day in a shock, or in a feeling already stressed and feeling already behind, or already like you've got to run around and do everything for everybody else. So there is very much something to be said for having a great morning ritual, and you can devise what that looks like for you depending on time, money, whatever your situation is, whatever your needs are. But you will find that when you regularly show up for yourself, whether that's for 2 minutes a day or whether this is a 2-hour ritual every day, whatever that might look like for you, it makes a really big difference to what your day looks like, what your physical and mental health looks like. The fact that you start to really trust yourself because you know that you show up for yourself, and you might find it makes a difference with your productivity and all of the other things you do, and your ability to be present with other people. Sometimes to be present with other people and to be there for other people and to hold a space for other people, we need to do something that gives us space as well. And look, and some people have an evening ritual, and that can be great too. Or some people have one or the other, or they have both. And the other thing I would just say to you is to have a healthy morning ritual. One of the things I see a lot is and again, no judgment, we're human beings, but I see a lot of people that say, "Oh, well, like I'm busy all day with the kids and with everybody else, and it gets to a certain time in the night, and I want time for myself," which is fair enough. And so, I sit down and start watching telly, but before I know it, I'm on binge watching the latest whatever it is, and I'm 4 or 5 episodes in. It's 2 in the morning. I go to bed at 2 in the morning, and then I wake up tired. you know, Obviously that is not a good idea. So yes, I understand why might want to binge watch the thing, and I love that sort of stuff just as much as the next person. And sometimes it really is a medicine for me just to go and disappear and binge watch something. Right? I understand that, but I would just encourage you to, again, be intentional around it. So you might say, I can watch one episode tonight and I'll keep the other episode for tomorrow night. Or, it might be one episode a week that you get to watch. Or it might be you have a couple of hours on the weekend where you get to binge watch a little bit, whatever it is. But, make life easier for yourself by putting sensible boundaries on those sorts of things for you. Because if it was your child sitting up till 2 in the morning, binge watching something, and you knew they had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work, you'd go to school, whatever it is, of course you would say to that person, hey, that's not a good idea. But we will do this. We will do that for ourselves. So also sort of think about what your evenings look like, because what your evenings look like will make a big difference to your morning, won't they? Because if your evenings look like getting to bed really, really late because you've just like stayed up watching telly all night, or playing games or whatever it is, obviously that's not a good thing. So it is really useful to have an evening ritual as well. And even if the evening ritual is just making sure that, on weekdays you're always in bed by this time, on weekends, whatever that time, and you always sort of have a quiet time before bed, whatever it is. But sometimes it's the reason that we're not having a successful morning ritual is because our evening ritual or is no good, or our evening is without ritual. The ritual is just on the lounge with the chocolate. Yes, I know that some of you recognize that, as do I. When I said that, you thought, oh, that's me. And it's certainly me sometimes as well. So just pointing out that sometimes we are the ones that sabotage ourselves. And when we are really intentional with what we do with our time, we can feel a whole lot better for it and have a lot more physical and emotional health success for it as well. So before I go, I would just please like to remind you to like, subscribe, share, comment, and please rate and review this podcast. And please do share it with your friends. It is really, I really want to keep this podcast going, and it is building slowly, but very slowly. So please, 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 if there's just one person now that you can just quickly hit the share button and share this with your friend or on your Facebook or whatever it is, or just go in and press the subscribe button, something like that. All of those things make a difference with how many people get to see and hear this podcast. So I really appreciate your support. I hope you have a great week. I'll talk to you next week about things that, real conversations about things that matter. Thank you. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.